is radical.
The other side is radical.
The other side is extremist.
The other side is extremist.
They are discriminatory at best.
They are discriminatory at best.
And they are racist at worst.
And they are racist at worst.
You remember those words. Now, I'm not a one-issue voter. And I bet you most of the folks in here are fairly educated voters, but the average person on the street may not be. So if you're going to pick one issue, you don't have time to find out everything that legislator's ever going to look at and see and vote on. So find out where they stand on the Second Amendment, and I'll tell you why. Because that tells you how that person views you as a constituent. It's a bellwether, folks. It tells you whether they view you as part of we the people, whom they serve, or whether they view you as the servant,
slave,
someone to be lorded over. It tells you everything in a very short amount of time. Now I get to do my shameless plug. I finally sat down and wrote a book. It expands on what I have told you, and I'll tell you why I wrote this. It's so that you can deal with your friends and your relatives, your squishy relatives, and the lady next door who's just not really comfortable with guns. This is for them. And secondly, I wrote it for the most important people in the world to me, my kids. I gotta tell you, my kids are never gonna know their grandparents. And it makes me mad. Now I'm going to leave you with a couple of thoughts. Again, for a few of you in the audience here, kind of like, well, yeah, okay, I'm not sure I really want somebody sitting next to me with a gun. There are probably quite a few in here right now. This is probably a safe place, legal or not. But I want you to put yourself in the situation that I described to you earlier. I want you to imagine when you leave here this evening and you go have dinner with your family and your children or your grandchildren. And all of a sudden you happen to notice out of the corner of your eye some young man walking in through the front door, and somehow he just doesn't look quite right. Next thing you know, you see him pulling out a gun and you're thinking, well, they must be filming a movie. You're looking for an explanation. And then he turns and puts a bloody hole in the elderly woman 3 feet to his right. And then he begins working his way around the room. Oh, I'm sure it couldn't happen to any of you in here. It couldn't happen here, could it? But as he's working his way around the room, as he is leveling his gun on your 2-year-old grandchild's forehead, at that point, even if you've chosen not to have a gun, don't you hope to God the guy behind you has one and knows how to use it? It does my heart so much good to see this much energy in a room, and so much good to know that there are other like-minded individuals. So thank you for what you do. Tell other people, preach the word. This is the gospel. And I will leave you with this thought. I would much rather be sitting in jail with a felony offense on my head and have my parents alive to know their grandchildren. Thank you all very, very much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Suzanna Hupp. Suzanna will be signing books.